The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuprich.
And I'm Ryan Risky, and joining us on the SportsTownChicago.com hotline is Jerry Riles, who is the executive producer of the Rewind Sports 60 and a very good Chicago sports veteran. Jerry, thanks for calling in.
Hey, guys, thank you so much for having me on the program. Excited to be with you guys, and I'm glad things are rolling for you, you guys at the station. And I know there are bigger and better things in store for you guys in 2016.
All right, thanks, Jerry. How's it going right now?
You know, things are going really, really well. Thanks for the great introduction. For your listening audience, you're absolutely right. I am the executive producer and host of the Rewind Sports 60. We air live on Sunday, 6 to 7 p.m. from Kroll South Loop here in Chicago. It's located at 18th and Michigan Avenue. And you can get us online, the Rewind Sports 60 at 60.com. So every Sunday at 6 p.m. you can check us out. And we also just debuted on Comcast Cable, RCN, and WOW cable outlets here in the city of Chicago. So now we're at 500,000 homes in the city. And our show plays at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. every Sunday night. So we're excited about that venture, but it's a great sports show. We're having a lot of fun and interesting guests, interesting topics. So hopefully you guys can check us out, and we'll get you out on our show moving forward. But things are going well. Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun, and we'll for sure check that out. I guess the first question we wanted to ask you, Jerry, was sort of your reaction to the trade deadline overall, the NBA trade deadline, some of the moves that you thought were interesting, and then also talking about the Bulls moving Kirk Hinrich to the Hawks.
I'm sorry, what was the last part?
And then also talking about Kirk Hinrich being dealt to Atlanta.
Yeah, you know, Kirk Hinrich had a fantastic career here in Chicago with the Bulls. He left before, and general manager Gar Forman and John Paxson really had a fond liking for Kurt Hinrich, and of course he rejoined the ball club, and I think he leads the franchise in all-time three-pointers made for the Chicago Bulls. Kurt Hinrich, gutsy basketball player, gritty, played aggressive. Sometimes he was more of a defensive specialist as opposed to offense, despite the fact that he, again, holds the record for the all-time three-point shots made for the Chicago Bulls, which is surprising because I thought that record was owned by Craig Hodges, who was the three-point shooting specialist way back in the day. But Kirk proved that he can play both ends of the floor. And he's in the twilight years of his career, but it's surprising. I know he was on the his name was on the table as far as possible Bull players being moved. Paul Gasol definitely was one of the hotter players that teams were looking at. And it's interesting to see what's going to happen with his career. He becomes a free agent at the end of the season. So kind of surprised that the Bulls weren't able to make a deal, but no team in their right mind really would make a deal giving up some players or prospects for Paul Gasol when he can opt out, and become a free agent at the end of the season. So I like to see the Bulls keep everything intact as much as they can, but Derrick Rose is looking like he's becoming close to his old self. We know Joakim Noah is out. Jimmy Butler is injured, and it's pretty much a mash unit for the Bulls overall. So this offseason is going to be pretty interesting to see what Gar and Pax end up doing to try to get this team to where they want it to be, and of course see if they can find some personnel that's compatible with Coach Fred Hoiberg. But kind of sorry to see Kirk Hinrich go, but I certainly understand the moves that are being made, and we expected some big blockbuster moves. I know Dwight Howard's name has been surfacing around, but sometimes teams make moves just because they have to make moves. Other times, they make moves because they think it's the best thing for them to do. So it's really hard to tell. But the front runners, guys, and I don't mean to be long-winded, but the front runners, obviously out west, you're talking about the Golden State Warriors, and, of course, in the East, you're talking about LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Now, what's been your opinion, the front office not really doing anything at the trade deadline? Because there are a lot of angry Bulls fans about them not doing anything in the offseason, nothing at the trade deadline, and then the hiring of Hoiberg.
What do I think overall for the front office? I'm pretty much I'm a supporter of John Paxson, and I covered Pax back in the day, and I developed a pretty good relationship with him. So I respect moves that he makes and decisions that he makes. Not always agreeing with him, but as far as the latest regarding the management, what's going on, some people are pointing to a Gar Forman and saying he should really be on the hot seat. Some speculations that he's trying to position himself for, moving on, another position around the league. I can't really confirm that or not. But, yeah, there's no question about it. You got to hold the brass, so to speak. You got to hold them accountable because this season is not what any of us expected. I know Fred Hoiberg is coming from the collegiate ranks, and I know he played in the league. I know he was a part of a front office, I believe with the Magic, but you just expected him to get a feel for what was going on as far as the league was concerned and eventually win these players over. I think he lost the locker room. We weren't even 25 games into the regular season, and Jimmy Butler, as you guys well know, started, going off in the media saying that they have no identity and Fred Hoiberg needs to be tougher on these teams, on these players, because Tom Thibodeau was. And I think we're not even 25 games under his belt. I really thought that was a distraction, and it kind of somewhat divided the team, the locker room, and I don't think that really helped. And I thought it was unfair for Jimmy Butler to put, coach in that position because he's still trying to fill himself out. And since that point, you see the injuries that have come along and, of course, the dismal roller coaster season that the Bulls have been experiencing. But, yeah, you have to hold the front office accountable for what's happened so far.
Right, and I'm not sure if you heard Gar Forman's comments earlier today. He talked for about 10 minutes on 670 The Score earlier today, and it seemed like he thought that everything would be fine, and he was okay, and he wasn't happy in the spot that the Bulls are in right now, 7th in the East, but he said that he plans on trying to keep the team intact. I wonder, if you think that's the right move, if it's the right move to try to re-sign Pau Gasol after this season, and if you think it's the right move for them to possibly re-sign Joakim Noah.
Well, you know what, and I apologize because I've been in meetings all day, so I didn't get a chance to hear the interview and all the moves that took place on trading day, for instance. But I'm kind of torn between keeping this team intact and trying to find some viable parts moving forward because, Paul Gasol is not, a young camper. We know that Joakim Noah is not the Joakim Noah of a few years back with the injuries and the surgeries that he's had, and now, the latest with the shoulder. He's not as durable as he once was. I think you got to bring in some younger talent. I know we got some. Bobby Portis is a great addition to this basketball team. Yep. I still think that Tony Snell can offer something offensively and defensively. So I mean, you do have some young blood on this basketball team. I think Doug McDermott. I think that he still has a lot to offer. I think Meritic. I think he's probably the better of the group of people that I just mentioned. So you do still have a decent core on this basketball roster. I think you just need to probably add a little bit more addition. Now, Paul Gasol, he's going to be commanding probably at least $20,000 per season over the next 3 years. And the Bulls simply aren't going to put themselves in that position to pay him that type of money at his age. I know there are a lot of teams that may look to bring him on. There's going to be a lot of money that many teams have available to throw at these players, and of course you want to get your top market value. But I really don't see the Bulls throwing that type of money toward Paul Gasol to keep him around, because I don't know if he's going to be. He's having an incredible season. Don't get me wrong. He's playing lights out. Probably the best numbers for a big man at, 36 years of age?
Right.
In league history. So that's huge. But again, will he be able to put up those numbers next year or the year after that at the type of money that he's going to be able to command on the open market? I say the jury is still out on that, but if Guard thinks that he can keep this core unit together and they can get to where they want to be next year, what they thought they were going to be this year, with the East being so weak, it's a crapshoot. It's something that I probably would not do. I try to get younger and try to build around the core, nucleus young players that I have currently on the roster.
Now, when the Bulls brought in Hoiberg, they were expecting the offense to kind of take off a fast-paced run-and-gun offense. Right now, they rank, I think, 17th in the NBA in points per game.
Right.
Do you have any idea why the Bulls' offense hasn't been able to take that step forward? Are they still having trouble transitioning into Hoiberg's system?
Well, again, I think that, Jimmy Butler going to the press saying that they need to practice harder, they need to play harder, they need to be tougher because Tom Thibodeau took them through that regimen. I think that really set things back for Fred Hoiberg as far as the type of identity he wanted to bring to the table. We all knew with him coming into the Bulls organization that he's an offensive-minded coach. He wants to open up the floor. He wants to, he wants his players to shoot beyond the arc. He wants movement. He wants flowing. He wants up and down. He's not a defensive-minded coach, although he will, instill that his players, play some defense. But we knew he was brought in to open up the offense for the Chicago Bulls. Unfortunately, Derrick Rose suffered that eye injury, so he really didn't get a chance to work out with the team. And then he pretty much started to play himself into shape once the season started, which I think that set back the offense, because if you keep in mind, when Derrick got back on the floor, he was shooting from beyond the arc, and that disrupted the flow of the offense. Derrick is more of a attacking guard, attacks the basket, or kicks it out to one of those open guys for a three. And I just think that Fred wanted to bring that type of play. And Jimmy Butler saying that they're used to playing rugged, hard, tough defense. So their mindset weren't in the right place at the right time. And then with the injuries, mounting up, it just put them in a deep, deep hole. And that's why I think we see the Bulls where they are today.
All right, Jerry. That was good stuff talking about the Bulls. We really appreciate it. And thanks for calling in. And we hope to talk to you again in the coming weeks about the Bulls and the NBA.
Sounds good. No question. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys. Have a fantastic show. And whenever you need me, just give me a call.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
That was Jerry Riles, and you can follow him on Twitter at Jerry Riles. And, in fact, he's the only person in the world to appear in the same picture as Walter Payton and Michael Jordan.
That's pretty impressive. Those are the two probably most iconic Chicago sports figures I can think of.
And he's pretty much the only person that will ever be in the same picture as the two of them, with Walter Payton's unfortunate passing. Anyways, that's going to do it for us tonight, this week on the Sports Renegades. We'll be back on next week, definitely with some more spring training stuff, and then we'll be talking more about the Bears and the Matt Forte decision and what they need to do with Alshon Jeffrey.
Yep.
So thanks again for listening. We'll see you next week. Have a great night.
The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.